So I had a moment to sit down with Brad Hawthorne, talk walleye fishing tips that you guys can use to catch more fish this season. So that's what this video is gonna be. Brad's gonna share a few kind of far-reaching tips in this video. But first things first, he's gonna talk about what has been working for him in the summer on Mille Lacs Lake, specifically the tips that he's using to catch more fish.
So what we're doing now on Mille Lacs to catch fish is obviously slowing down. There's a ton of everything in the system right now. We have a ton of bait fish, we have a ton of walleyes, we have a ton of perch, we have a ton of pike, we have a ton of smallmouth. So we have enough food to keep that furnace running, but we also have to be mindful of what we're putting in front of these marks when we're shining around. So what I've been doing out there to increase my odds is, especially the last few years, last 2 or 3 years, what I notice is I get more marks to react with crawlers and leeches, and almost exclusively once we get into later summer dog days, if you will, I'm almost exclusively using crawlers. I would say that leeches only make up about 20% of that. So these little things I'm using is a bobber. I'm threading on my crawlers on a jig, okay? And now my crawler on this jig will probably be that long, right there. And what I will do is use a bigger jig for a longer crawler. So what a lot of guys won't do is use that full crawler on a jig. Trust me, you hang a 3/4, half, 3/4, full crawler on a jig out there on Mille Lacs and let that just dangle above them. Don't put it even with them. Put it up a few feet. That will get those bites. Fresh crawlers are key. You want that crawler down there moving around, okay? Now, if you're not getting bit there, start shrinking that whole thing up. Go from a full crawler, 3/4 crawler, and then start moving into your metallics. I like to use a little bit of color on my crawlers, either a little pink. I don't even mind a little silver, but this right here in this Smeltinator color, that to me is really crawler-esque. It's got a little white on there. It's got those crawler colors. It's a really good matchup for a crawler. So to just throw that out there, I'm using far more leeches, far more crawlers. In the dog days of summer, I'm fishing 1 to 2 feet above them, and I'm giving these fish time to look at them with that full crawler. Main tip for this time of year, if you're moving spots, change your crawler out. Don't drive 5 miles, 3 miles, 2 miles across the lake with your crawler pinned up on your hook keeper, drying out the whole way there, and then flick it on a hot glowing mark and expect that mark to bite. Half your success with your crawler fishing on these jigs is because that crawler has a little bit of movement, either from your bobber moving around, you pulling on the line, or because it's alive. Remember, the most important thing is to keep that crawler alive. Change often. So that would be my number 1 tip. You know, throw down the old way of fishing where we would go out and troll lead core. Now it's easier to find those marks, shine on them, and keep those baits above them and just stay on those fish until they bite. So that would be my number 1 tip for this time of year. Stay with those jigs, stay with those bobbers. When we talk about finesse fishing with walleye, we're still talking that full crawler. You know, that can get a little bit, you know, on the extreme end of size. So start there, start shrinking down. And minnows are hard to keep alive. Crawlers are easy to keep alive. Leeches get to be a little bit hard to come by, especially that larger size. So stick to those crawlers, match the size of your crawler to your jig, and don't be afraid to go from full crawler, 3/4 crawler, half crawler, and work it out that way to figure out what's gonna trigger the fish for that day.
Sometimes actually finding fish isn't the hard part. A lot of times it's either getting those fish to bite or finding fish that are willing to bite. So that's actually gonna be the topic of Brad's next tip.
About 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, I started noticing when I'm coming by these fish, they were on what I would call the dark side of the structure, and they would move to the darker side of the structure versus, you know, any side of the structure in spring and early summer. And what I mean by that, let's say that there's a rock reef running east-west, and you're in 30 feet of water, this thing comes up 15 feet tall. What I'm noticing is that the fish will all be on the north side of that. You know, light's coming from this way and it shadows it. So wherever that dark is along that is where you're gonna find those walleyes. So I know where to look in there. And sometimes those fish don't bite, but let me tell you what, man, when they start to put on that feed bag, you better know where they are, because they're not gonna have to move very far. So what the data points I have is lake is full of bait. It's not hard to find fish. It's hard to find fish that are eating. But when you find those fish, you know that they're gonna eat 1-2 times a day, and you just better be ready when they do. And they're not have to move far. Like, that's the one thing where I look at a lot of these guys that are struggling, and they don't realize that when these fish do turn on to feed, that a lot of times there's bait right above them. They don't have to move very far. A lot of times, there's a school of fish out of Mille Lacs that's only moved about 300 yards since winter. That's how much bait is in the lake. I mean, they don't have to, they can just feed up or wait for the bait to come to them. It's a different situation. So, grinding on those spots that have a lot of walleyes, and then looking around not just for bait. Now, here's where you should be listening. Don't be looking just for fish. After you find those fish, fire out your side imaging, 140, 150 on either side of your boat, and you stop looking for fish, start looking for bait. Whether that's bugs or minnows. If there's an absolute ton of bait where you find a lot of fish, you're probably not, your success rate, your catch numbers are gonna go down, just because they have shiners, shiners, tullabies, perch, sculpin. They have all these different minnows that they can chow on, ranging from the ones that live in the rocks right where they're sitting, or the sand, or up above, like, or perch that are just nomadic running around. Like, that's what you have to decide. Are these fish, when they do eat, is your lure even gonna play a part in that? Probably not. So if there's a ton of bait around that area where you find a ton of fish, start looking around. Plan A, plan B, plan C. That's what I've been doing. Plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. And I try to find areas with fish and with the least amount of bait as possible. So you're gonna find those areas down the south end. It's got nothing to do with the structure. It's got nothing to do with depth. It has to do with where you're finding the fish and how much bait's around. Because the end result is, if there's less bait there, if there's 500 fish there and there's less bait, you're gonna catch more fish. So try that out. Spend some more screen time up there, flick your side imaging around, and instead of looking for fish, look for bait.
Next up, we're gonna hit on a really popular topic, and that is color. Brad's gonna share a few not so sneaky colors that he's been having a lot of success with this year out on the water chasing walleyes.
So when I'm guiding, I usually have 2 or 3 people in the boat, and it's pretty easy to start collecting data points. That's basically what I'm doing. I always start with what was working the day before, and we start there, and then we just kind of progress. But the one thing I've noticed is I like naturals, especially this time of year. It puts a lot more fish in the boat, I feel, especially when you get into those like natural buggy colors. But what I've noticed is the metallics this year. If we have 4 customers out, and fishing's fairly whatever, I will throw on a metallic, and all of a sudden, bang. It almost gets a little bit more consistent. When you have all those natural colors flying around, it's like you add that little bit of sheen, a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of metallic flash in there, and those fish just eat it up. And now what I've noticed is I don't get too big. So and I left the line on this just to like add a little bit of like value, like, yeah, I am actually using these. I love the metallic pink for leeches, okay? Now when we get into crawlers, you'd be like, you're using chrome, straight up chrome on a crawler? Absolutely I am, and it works great. This metallic pink was my number one, is my number one color on Mille Lacs for minnows, crawlers, and leeches for the whole year, whether that's in a long shank or short shank. So let that be a lesson to you. If you're out here, you're struggling a little bit, if everyone's saying natural, I may say, yeah, I was using natural colors, but I got one line in the boat or one bobber in the boat that caught a third of the fish. But have your metallics with you, and when you think you're on a natural crawler bite, go ahead and throw some metallic into the mix, and I guarantee you that bobber just might drop.
All right, last up, I actually had Brad do a boat walkthrough, because every time I step in that thing, especially the boat that he's got this year, I'm like, holy crap, this is an awesome setup. So I had him run from front to back, a quick boat walk through, not necessarily digging through all the compartments and doing all that, but just a quick run through because I thought Brad's boat was super dialed this year.
At the deck, this deck is significantly longer and significantly wider than the previous Impact models. And what this means is, as you can see here, I can have a customer standing here, I can have a customer standing here, and I can be up here running Mega Live, shining around and looking at 360 and all my data points up here, telling them where to cast. So let's dive into here. So the deck is huge, fit 3-4 anglers up here, chucking bobbers and jigs, it's awesome. And I go into my triple screen setup here. I have my 2 Explorers down here. Sometimes I'll run Mega Live 2 on this Explorer here, on my left Explorer, and other times I'll run it on top. It's all preference, but I run map, Mega Live, and then I run 360, super dialed approach. I got my Ultrex Quest up there with the pointer on top. That is a super boss little feature. It just, you know, helps guys on accuracy when they're casting. Love this whole setup up here. Is it expensive? Yes. Does it perform extremely well? Without a question. I do have to touch on the mount. This is Beatdown Outdoors mount. This whole thing with all 3 of these graphs will come up to about, the bottoms of the graphs will come this high if I want them to. So if you want to get them right up there in your face, you can do that. This whole thing, if I can disconnect all my wires, this whole thing will come off in one piece for storage. Super nice, super metric. Got the cup holder there. Really like the front end of this boat as far as functionality, you know. Lund did a really good job on that. I have my bumper pads here for my trolling motor stops. My tool holder right there. And then I'm just gonna slowly kind of work this way. Huge rod locker, obviously. I can fit, gosh, with rod sleeves, sometimes I put them in double in there. I'm getting almost 30 rods in this thing. You know, that's doubled up, but super awesome. So going into the back end of the boat, because a lot of times we have more than, you know, 2, 3, 4 people in the boat. I have a forward-facing sonar deal on my Lund guardrail here, or my Sport Track. I throw my 9 on here, my Mega Live, my Explorer 9 with my Mega Live 2 on this whole deal, and it is nice. See that? That's how quick that works. Just put your pole over, put it back. That simple. And that's my ice fishing unit. I just slap my ice fishing unit on there, and we have maybe 4 customers, maybe 5 customers, and they can run their own sonar. I'll throw that on there. They're happy as clams. Okay, so moving on from that, and this can go anywhere in the boat. On the track mount, you can go in the front, back, go anywhere you want. 2 talons. This is the first rig I've had with 2 talons. I used to just run 1. 2 talons is super nice when you can stick them down on a break and cast out deep, or vice versa. 2 talons, while you can stay off the power on the trolling motor and just fan, is absolutely awesome. I should have done it 10 years ago. Then I go on to my motor cover. There's jigs that are always bouncing off my motor cover 5-10 times a day. Motor covers keep the sun off it. It's a really, really nice thing to do. I also put a 6-inch jack plate on this boat. What that does is just give this boat a way smoother ride. It's really simple. You say, what do jack plates do? On multi-species boats, they're not bass boats, they make the boat longer. So what you're doing is you're bridging waves better. You're not going down the waves in further. So if you're not going down them further, you're not gonna have a rougher ride. So that jack plate helps with maybe 1, maybe 2 mile an hour in top end, but where it really helps is sharper turning. It helps with getting the most performance out of your boat to be able to raise and lower it and find that optimal spot, and just getting that better ride quality. All right, so, and the boat is full of stuff. Me and Nick are out here today. I've got all my plastics in the back, but so for the back, this is also wider. The platform is bigger. You have 2 jump seats. You have a giant live well in here, okay? And then you got your tube pull, and then you got your seat pull there, flip down ladder. This is big enough for 2 guys back here to stand and cast. You got 2 guys in the front, 2 guys in the back. That's how big these casting platforms are. Absolutely awesome. Then going up to the dash here, the best thing they did on these impacts was make these flat dashes, okay? Flat dashes with trays on them. This is an Apex 16. You can get 2 12s in here. You can even finagle 3 12s on this dash if you drop one down here, but super flat real estate. Like, flat real estate on the dash equals more mounting options. Like, boat manufacturers should have figured that one out 20 years ago. Give us a flat spot, we'll figure out the rest. But yeah, so I've got big screen on there. I could put another one here if I wanted. You know, 16 inches is big enough. And my Talon remote's there, cell phone charger. I got a few miscellaneous things hanging down there. And that's pretty much it. One thing to point out on this whole boat, there's no wood. All these compartment lids, everything you see up front, that's all aluminum. And when I mean zero wood in this boat, zero wood. The seats, all aluminum. Decking, all aluminum. Everything in here is all aluminum. So this boat is super, super high quality, super durable, and you don't have to worry about any of those problems with wood. So, you know, if there's something you guys want to see more or want me to dive into depth on the new 2075 Impact, let me know. You know, hit that inbox and we'll maybe do like an open compartment tour of this boat. But if you're looking for that 20-foot plus multi-species slayer that also has a ski pole, you can use it as a guide boat. I mean, this boat here, for all intents and purposes, oh, forgot the best part. That's a 225 horse Mercury Pro XS on the back that, to say the very least, pushes this beast very, very well. I have consistently hit 55 miles an hour plus in this boat. Granted, I'm running lithium, doing some special things to this, but this boat is a rocket ship if you're looking to use this motor on there. That 225 really pushes it real well. So if you guys are looking for an impact or looking at an impact, I hope this video helped. And if you want to see more or see more in detail, just let me know.
Not gonna lie, every time I step into Brad's boat, I have a little bit of boat envy starting this spring when I went out there for openers. So Brad's super dialed in. Special thanks to Brad for sharing a bunch of really good information. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below because we have a lot more awesome content coming in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.